Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. Our campaign is The Timeless Sands of India. It was written by John Hook, and he will be our game master. This is episode 3. A recap will be given by Mick Swan as his character, R.A. Ramachandran. So, without any further delay, let's continue our journey into the darkness. Mick?
Thanks, Tom. Father, my apologies for the tardiness of my arrival, but I have been forced to take an urgent detour to Calcutta for reasons which I shall endeavour to explain in detail when I return home. My journey has been neither a happy nor a reassuring one. I've had little resembling sleep for some while now, and the unpleasant events upon the steamer on which I am travelling have only served to exacerbate this discomfort. On the first day of my trip, I made the acquaintance of a number of European gentlefolk travelling on the same voyage, but any sense of bonhomie was rudely quashed by the subsequent death of one of my fellow travellers. The man appeared to have both hanged himself and set a fire in the most suspicious of circumstances. Added to which, the fellow's cabin had been ransacked, and his suicide note appeared to have been written in a hand which was not his own. My new acquaintances and I took up the matter with the captain, as you might expect, and he saw to it that the ship was searched, but to no avail. I have, as the English say, been keeping a low profile. As an Indian man, even one educated at Oxford, is an easy suspect in the eyes of a provincial soldier, and I have no desire to inconvenience myself still further by being investigated in connection with this unfortunate man's death. When the search failed to turn up anything of note, Mr. Crane, one of my fellow passengers and a tea merchant of some note, suggested that the culprit could well be a stowaway, and the captain himself, along with another passenger, Herr Hauptmann, set about searching the bowels of the ship for a possible hiding place. The captain, a rather large burly man, was unable to get into the requisite spaces, and Herr Hauptmann requested that one of us might assist him. I volunteered, along with Major Barnes and a young lady, Miss Lockhart, and between us we were able to discover a small space by the bulkheads in which someone could, and indeed had, been hiding. There we found a tin containing the dead man's missing watch and a book written in what appeared to be some dialect of Arabic. Any sense of success was rather short-lived, as both the young lady and the Major sustained awful burns as a result of the steam pipes we had been forced to crawl beneath in that cramped and filthy space below decks. I swear, Father, I will never forget that smell. It seems more likely than ever that the poor fellow was murdered, but we dock in Calcutta tomorrow, and I can only assume the culprit will flee ashore and never be seen again. All in all, it has been a most inauspicious start to my trip. I am shattered and exhausted, and these events have not sat well on my nerves. Nonetheless, I must attend to things here before I return to you all. I cannot leave this matter alone. I can only apologize for my continued absence, and I ask, dear Father, that you trust me when I say that this thing must be done, or I fear I will never sleep again. Rest assured I will put this matter to rest at the earliest convenience and return home as soon as I can. Your devoted son, Ranjit.
Fantastic. Well, again, with the terrible, sleepless, nightmare-fueled evenings that you each encounter, as you wake up on this morning, everyone please give me a sand roll for your sleep deprivation.
Yeah, 75 is a fail.
Ooh,
Pass.
I got a rather lovely 8.
I got a 7.
17.
All right. So to remind you about the sleep deprivation mechanic, if you failed your sand check, all of your mental and physical skills, unless we determine otherwise, they will not only have a penalty die, but you're going to need a hard success to be successful at whatever it is that you're attempting. If your sand roll was successful, you will still have a penalty die on mental and physical skills, but you only need a standard success in order to be successful at whatever it is you're attempting. So make note for yourself whether or not for this day you are having a hard success or a normal success, because everyone will still be having penalty dice. It's 9 a.m., and you can see and hear the city of Calcutta. The ship is coming up the river, the name of which escapes me right now, but it is pulling into Kittapur Port in Calcutta. The day is a whirlwind of activity as everyone is preparing to disembark. And clearly, as the ship is docking, you can see there is a large contingency of authority figures on the dock, waiting for the Bankura to come into port. Obviously, the captain has been radioing ahead. And so let me just read this, if I may. Led by Inspector Gauntlet, members of Calcutta's Constabulary Board, the Bankura has spent several hours being interviewed. They have been interviewing everyone who helped fight the fires aboard the ship and everyone who confessed knowledge of the victim. But eventually, you are each set free of your own recognizance. The Kittapur port of Calcutta smells of seawater and sweat. The Bankura is a beehive of activity as men work the cranes to unload the cargo holds. The crew takes special care to unload what cargo is salvageable from the fire, and the platoon of British soldiers are busy unloading their own cargo as well. You are greeted by customs agents as you disembark the ship. So, at this point, you guys are going to be going through customs, and you guys have quite a bit of gear with you.
Well, yeah, all of our stuff from our rooms.
All of the stuff from your rooms, any of the stuff that you had, and you guys are already reunited with any of your personal belongings that were in the cargo hold. So some of you guys may have a trolley with you now that's got a trunk or something on it. But now you're going through the bureaucracy of customs, and they want to double check all of y'all's stuff. So out of curiosity, does anyone have anything that they feel like they should declare? Is there anything that you guys feel like you want to try and get through customs? I should say it's probably fairly obvious that weaponry of any sort is something that customs is going to want to have knowledge of. But does anybody have an approach or anything that they would like to do?
I travel back and forth quite a bit, so I have papers. I've got a license, if you will, for my 32 semi-automatic.
Okay.
I carry with me.
All right.
And,
give me a luck roll. Give me a luck roll to see if it's currently valid and everything is in order.
Well, I got an 89, so that is a fail.
Yeah, statutes and regulations have changed since your last visit, and they're tapping the paper saying, yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to get you through right now.
Look, surely you've heard of my business. I'm the head of Crane Tea. I'm not bringing anything here. I'm here to check on my business. Surely you can do something. I don't know why my paper. You people change your policies all the time. How am I supposed to keep up with this? I had all of this paperwork put into place before I got on the ship in the first place.
Yeah, this would have been valid on your previous visit, but I'm afraid it's not valid at this time.
Listen, my good man. Can I try a persuade roll?
You may attempt to persuade.
But at a penalty.
Yes, don't forget your penalty die.
Right.
And are you having, how was your sleep deprivation roll? Are you having normal successes or
passed.
hards?
I passed.
Okay, so you only need a normal.
Right. The first one passes. Second one also passes.
Okay, so yeah, you persuade him, and he seems to hem and haw, and he's like, all right. Maybe there's some other folks, on his side of the counter are kind of like pressuring because traffic's backing up. And he rubber stamps your paperwork and sends you through.
Thank you.
Next.
Yes, Major Bernard Bonds.
Yes, anything to declare?
Yes, my service revolver. These are my papers. I'm from the Office of the Chief Magistrate from Madras. Here they are.
Okay, let's have
I travel with them all the time.
Yep, let's have a luck roll to see if your paperwork is up to snuff.
Uh-oh. Wait for it. Luck. Oh, right on. Yes. Just made it.
Okay, yeah, it's looking good. Yeah, so he's looking at it and he says, yeah, things are looking pretty good. We could probably expedite this. Are you looking to be expedited?
I would like to stay with my traveling companions. This will be fine.
Okay, yeah, there'll be just a small fee for expedition.
And what might this be?
Oh, it depends on how fast you want to get through the line.
Okay. Let's see, credit rating 40. So I should have some cash available. Here. Might this do? And
give me a credit rating.
Credit rating? Oh, and this is with a penalty. Oh, geez. Oh, that's not going to be... Oh, 39 makes it.
Actually, I don't think that's a mental or physical stat, credit rating.
Yeah, I could buy that. Let's just have it straight. So your 39 was a success?
39 on a 40, so success.
Okay. Yeah, so he palms what you offer, and he stamps your paperwork and sends you through.
And I'm going to
move
assist
along.
Miss Lockhart ahead. Excuse me. This woman has been seriously injured, so we would like to, and I've got her bags over my bags. Miss Lockhart, if you have your papers ready.
Oh yes. Here they are. Yes, here.
Okay, yes. And he looks you over, and he's looking at the paperwork. Go ahead and give me a luck roll, see if it's up to date.
Ooh, 53 is a pass.
He says, yes, everything looks in order here. And Herr Hauptmann, give me a luck roll if you would as well.
Jawohl. 53. Good. I'm a lucky fellow. So here is everything. I trust it's in order. I'm hoping to get this young lady who was injured on a steamship registered in this locale to a comfortable hotel as soon as possible, where we may.
I heard you talk about expediting.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. What is your appearance, by the way?
I have an appearance of 80 and a credit rating of 90. So
okay. That alone intimidates this bureaucrat, and he says that won't be necessary, ma'am. That won't be necessary. You and your man may go through.
Oh, thank you so much.
This is our friend, Mr. Ramachandran, who's assisting with the lady's injuries.
And Ramachandran, as you come forward, you have paperwork.
Yes, I have an Indian passport.
As you barely get it displayed, and he just kind of tips his hat and says, "Yes, come on through." So while I'm not doing very good accents, all of the personnel are Indian. So he sees a brother and just like, go on through. You're good.
Thank you.
And so now, Mr. Major Barnes, who wanted to wait for all of us.
Ah, I need a drink now. This hand's killing me.
Okay, so as you guys head outside, so it's taken hours to get through customs and push through, and you guys, it is more than just the Bankura is here. There are several ships in this area. Lots of passengers have gotten off. There are other passengers who are coming on, are going to be boarding other ships, not the Bankura, but other ships in this area. So this port is just packed with people. And now that you're outside of the buildings, or outside of the building, and you're now on the inland side, there's also vehicles, right? There's all kinds of cars and trucks and rickshaws and all kinds of animals. There's just all kinds of activity going on, and you guys are basically on a vehicle loading dock area. As you're kind of coming out, you've got all your gear and everything, all of y'all's stuff. It's taken hours to process through customs, and as you exit customs office, a chaotic sea of people and noise greets you. The general cargo reception area is just outside of the office, and it's currently filled with hundreds of people, numerous lorries, and even a few ox-driven wagons, all pushing towards the warehouses to pick up goods that have been offloaded. Most of the people are queued up to collect cargo from the warehouses, but there is also a line of people waiting to be picked up by rickshaws, and the platoon of British soldiers from the Bankura have formed up as they prepare to move out. So they're in formation out there.
Mr. Crane, do you have accommodations already?
Oh, yes, of course.
I wonder if do you anticipate from previous visits that there would be room for all of us where you're staying?
Oh, probably. GM, do I have a place that I'm supposed to stay, or do I make that up?
Right. So for most of these folks, the compulsion to travel to Calcutta was very spontaneous. It was very something that you just kind of finally gave into, and so there wasn't a lot for most people. It was not a lot of preparation. But I'm going to let Mr. Crane have a luck roll to see if he did have the opportunity to prepare ahead of time, maybe right ahead.
I got an O2.
The Royal Pantaloon.
The Royal Pantaloon.
The Royal
Yes,
Pantaloon.
the Royal Pantaloon. Now your reservation was for one at the Pantaloon.
Well,
you can always try.
Oh, we can definitely try.
Yes, and I assume it's in an agreeable area. So if there's nothing at the Pantaloons, there might be something in the same vicinity. So let us find a suitable conveyance and get out of this crowd and this sun.
Okay, so you guys are getting your act together in order to take off and get to the Pantaloon. Whoa.
Don't give those children any money. They'll just you'll have to pay double on the way back.
Oh, it's no problem.
No.
Never been this far north.
Hold on just for a second.
For such a dainty woman, Miss Lockhart, your luggage is astonishingly complex and heavy.
Shoes, probably, right? Am I right, Miss Lockhart?
Plenty of shoes.
Shoes and dresses and
More shoes and more dresses.
Women have a great deal of wardrobe. I should have gone into that business.
Well, if your taste in dresses is like your taste in tea, then I think you would be quite successful.
Thank you. Quite.
I need everyone to do a spot hidden. And this would normally be a hard success. So for those who may have failed their sleep deprivation, for this instance, I need you to actually make an extreme success for you to be successful.
So 100.
I don't know how I've done that, but I rolled exactly the same for my first roll and my second roll.
Nice.
So my penalty dice and my both my dice rolls were 26, which is a standard pass, and I didn't fail my sanity check at the beginning.
Okay, so you would have needed a hard success for this particular roll.
Yeah.
Under normal circumstances.
Yep.
So did anybody meet that criteria?
No, sir.
Nope.
No? Okay. So as you guys... yes, Mr. Ramchandran.
1 point off. Can I spend a point of luck?
Absolutely. That's what it's there for me to drain it out of you. I mean, for you to spend it to have a better narrative. That's what I meant to say.
There you are. I'm spending 1 point of luck. So I've now got just squeaked through with a hard pass.
So as a collective group, you guys are like, you're through customs, you've got all your stuff, and you've decided, Royal Pantaloon, that's what we need to do. Let's all go there and see if we can kind of figure out and get a direction of something. Why are we here in Calcutta? So as you've decided to do that, and you're gathering your stuff, Mr. Ramachandran, your eyes just kind of sweep through the crowd, and just nonchalantly sweeping through the crowd. And as your eyes pass over the platoon of British soldiers, one of the young men on the end, and they're all standing smartly with their weapons and everything. One young man on the end, his head kind of cocks a little bit, and in a very fluid motion, the rifle becomes unslung and rests in his hands, and he lifts it and takes aim at your group. And as it happens, Herr Hauptmann seems to be on the end of that sight. So with your successful spot hidden, I will allow you a single action before the shot that I've already rolled is triggered.
Can I shout while moving?
Absolutely.
Okay, I will shout "Get down," while simultaneously barreling into Herr Hauptmann and trying to tackle him to the ground.
Okay, so if you're helping to tackle him to the ground, and my assumption, unless Herr Hauptmann wants to say otherwise, is that he would like to try and do a dodge.
Makes sense.
So I'm going to allow some bonuses to kind of stack on each other.
Okay.
Since you're not simply just yelling "Get down," you're trying to tackle him. So the first bonus negates the penalty die, but the second bonus will actually add a bonus die. So Herr Hauptmann, make a dodge roll with a bonus die.
Excellent. And I only need it's half dex. Right.
It is standard is half dex.
Right. So I have to get under 25 with a bonus. And I rolled a 7 in the first try. I want to keep that bonus in my hip pocket for later.
There you go. So you make this amazing dive. You feel like you can hear the bullet whiz past you as it smacks into the wooden wall of customs. Now, as soon as that soldier takes that shot, like 8 other soldiers just dogpile that guy, right? And so they immediately, knock him to the ground, and the weapons, skitters, and you guys see people just, scattering throughout this place.
Oh, good heavens! Are you okay?
God.
Is everyone all right?
Yes, Ramachandran, thank you. It's a good thing you
I
know
just feel
you're
like my heart is going to beat out of my chest. What?
I say, is that the man then that has been the perpetrator on our ship? Has he revealed
I
himself?
think it must be. I think we've just found our killer.
Hold that man.
We have. Yes, perhaps Miss Lockhart, you can find your and we can get a name and identification for this would-be assassin.
I wonder, Sir Heldman, do you still have that Arabic book?
Mr. Crane is carrying a tin box.
Oh.
We thought that he would be the most likely to be unnoticed with an extra possession.
I'm heading towards the soldiers.
I'm heading with you. I need to speak with the captain.
Yep. So yeah, you guys go over there, and the other soldiers, they've got him in arm locks and everything. And this kid, he can't be more than 18 years old, and he's just got this dumbfounded look on his face, and he's like, what's going on, guys? What's happening? Why? Let me go. What's going on?
Captain, what is the meaning of this?
And he kind of shushes you, and he kind of gives you the hand, and he goes, we'll handle this. And he just starts tearing down into this private, like, what's the meaning of this? Discharge you, attempted murder. You're going to go down, there'll be a court. I don't know what you're doing. I didn't do anything. And so while this argument is going on, everyone can do another spot hidden.
That penalty dice is going to kill me every time.
Nope.
Yeah, fail.
Okay. Failures all around. That's fine.
Fail.
So yeah, the captain and the lieutenant are standing there, and they're just tearing down into this guy, and he had just eventually, he's like, sir, I don't know what's happening. What are you talking about? We were just getting ready. I was just standing in formation.
Is this were these the soldiers that were on our ship?
Yes.
So is this Gerling that's chewing him out?
Yes.
Well, we were looking for the murderer, and we found evidence that somebody was hiding downstairs. It must have been this boy.
And the captain's like, whatever evidence you think you have, it's not, it can't be on him. All of my men were in the cargo hold, present and accounted for when the fire occurred, when the murder happened.
Well, then why did he shoot at us?
We don't know, but I will find out.
Please do.
See that you do. We have business elsewhere.
So yeah, they tear into him, and you can see that they've like tied his hands up and everything, and they're treating him like a criminal now.
Good.
Can I make a psychology check on the kid that's saying he doesn't know what he's?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Of course, this is with a penalty. So, 04 is the first one, and I got 20 and 14. Yes.
Yeah. Your assessment is that this kid is being completely truthful. Like, he has no idea what people are talking about. Firing his weapon. Who fired a weapon? When was a gun fired? Why did everybody jump on me? What's going on? He has zero idea what is happening.
I convey this to the group.
Who fired the weapon? He fired the weapon. He's responsible for the weapon.
Ramachandran. Yes, Ramachandran clearly saw this kid just kind of and pick up his weapon. He just unslung it like in one fluid motion. Unslung, lift, took aim. And if it hadn't been for Ramachandran, tackling into Hopman, you could have had another injury, possibly a fatality.
He's lying.
I don't know, Mr. Crane. I mean, we are all having. I mean, just look at the situation that we're all in. already. Why we're all here in Calcutta? I know that seems stranger to me to believe than this
Well,
kid having a lapse.
It's out of our hands at this point. Let's get to our hotel. Hopefully nobody else will shoot at us.
Yeah, let's get there quickly. Hopefully they have an extra couple of rooms for us, because I certainly don't have one.
And I think we should be very watchful, because if Mr. Bond's assessment is correct, it seems very much a targeted attack. This young man didn't choose us or me out of this throng of thousands of people, but he chose the group that has the watch and knows that there was a murder. And if someone can affect a soldier's behavior, they can affect perhaps someone else's behavior. So anyone with a weapon is potentially a danger to us. One more reason to stick close together.
But what did we do? Who would want to kill us?
Who summoned us here was this blue elephant.
Well,
We're
the
all
person who would want to
incredibly
kill
groggy.
us, the person who'd want to kill us is the person who knows that we were investigating the murder.
But I mean, the only thing that... But I mean, they killed Adam. And Adam just had the same thing that we did. Why would they want to kill Adam and then try to kill us to cover it up?
There are
If
obviously
Adam's
some things
only
that we
thing was...
know.
I need...
Clearly, we're all linked by this sleeplessness and these strange dreams, and there must be something that whoever wants us dead imagines we know, but it appears that as yet we don't know.
But we do
It's
have...
very hot.
Indeed. We do have this book that none of us can read that perhaps has the secret inside it.
I think we must work on finding an Arabist.
I think if we could just... I think first get to the hotel, get a drink,
Agreed.
get out of the sun.
Very
Good
good
Cup
idea.
of tea
Alex.
sounds good.
Fresh dressings for your injuries, etc.
Yes, please. Dear God, this is... Ugh.
Come along. Let's go.
How easy is it to get laudanum in 1923 in Calcutta?
Very.
So Calcutta, I think this would be pretty common knowledge. Calcutta is really a city divided, and it actually has a pretty common nicknames. So I feel a sneeze coming on. I apologize. And it's gone.
You didn't make your sneeze roll.
I did not. I failed. So Calcutta, it was a very interesting city at this time, due to the segregation, and so really it had a very poorly, grotesque names by today's standards. But basically, it was split in two, and it was White Town and Black Town. And so Kidderpur ports, many of the major locales, cultural centers, train station, the universities, the hospitals, all that stuff is anything that was still benefiting from the British Raj rule. Because that, even though the Raj is over, there's still the lingering that is considered White Town. Then the Black Town side is there's a lot more poverty. There's not a lot of resources, overpopulation, and more crime. So it depends on what you're trying to get from what source. So if while laudanum itself can be acquired, it could be expensive, and there could be a backlog if you go through White Town, whereas it could be even more expensive but possibly more expedient to do something like that through Black Town. So and then of course you take your risks, traversing into Blacktown. But that kind of cultural divide is something that's kind of well known, and it's not like there's a hard and fast border. There's a general border, but who knows? Maybe over 6 months period, it might shift a couple of blocks one way or the other, depending upon any kind of improvements or if anything kind of goes into decline, that may cause that invisible border to shift. Hopefully that answered your question. But as far as getting something like medical care and whatnot, it's still quite public. You could simply go to King's Hospital and try and get some medicine there if you feel like you need medicine.
I'm just thinking of the pain that our poor friends are in. It's possible that we could figure out something with a concierge at the Pantaloon if we end up staying there. They might have a doctor on call or some such.
Concierge will at least know where to get it.
So it takes the better part of half an hour to traverse an area of in the center of Calcutta. Mr. Crane, you have a reservation for one.
Oh yes, I have a reservation. However, I've picked up some companions along the way. Do you by chance have 4 other rooms available?
And so the woman looks at your group, and you can see her eyes linger on Mr. Ramachandran, and she says, I will have to check. And so this,
I can vouch for Mr. Ramachandran. He's a business associate.
It's he's.
I'm in the tea trade.
Yeah. Oh, manservant. Did I hear you say he's your manservant? Yes. Well, very good. Let me just see what accommodations I can make here. So she pulls it up and she goes, yes, we would be happy to include your friends and yes.
Excellent.
We must make sure that at least Miss Lockhart has a room with a tub inside. All right.
Yes. Why, the presidential suite is available.
Oh well, that sounds lovely.
And may I inquire, and we'll of course be handing over money and credentials and signing things, I presume. So this is my first visit to the Royal Pantaloon. How are your accommodations in terms of group meeting places and other public amenities?
Simply the finest. No expenses spared at the Pantaloon.
Oh, very good. Major Bonds, do you play the billiards?
I enjoy quite a bit. I might be a little troubled by this hand, but
oh, how
give it a
insensitive
go.
of me. Mr. Crane?
Yes, quite.
So we shall have some recreation if we don't sleep even.
Indeed.
All right. So you each get room keys. And so she says, Mr. Crane, yes, we've set you up with a double room now. So you have a double room, and she hands you 2 keys. She says, for you and your manservant. And then she hands Phoebe a single key, and then also Major Barnes and Herr Hauptmann each get a single key as well.
Thank you. Will you have Porter take our bags up to the rooms?
Yes, absolutely, immediately.
All right, thank you.
And so the porter comes out and starts collecting up most of the bags. If Ramachandran is holding a bag, the porter assumes that he's got that and collects all the other bags. He says, right this way.
As we're going, I do apologize, Mr. Ramachandran. Times being the way they are, I suppose it's easier just to go with the flow, so to speak. I'd be quite happy to pay for your room.
Yes. I'm not going to say very much, but I'm just visibly embarrassed by the whole thing.
Quite, I am too.
So the porter, the bellhop, he leads you to the elevators, and of course there's an elevator operator, and so he calls for the car. The operator opens it up, and it's very grand. Lots of details everywhere, right? And so they take you up to y'all's floor, and for convenience sake, you guys are all on the same floor.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Quite nice.
What I suggest, perhaps half an hour to refresh ourselves, and then we find the bar and the gin and tonic. Yes.
That sounds splendid. I would like to swing by the hotel and get this properly bandaged up.
You mean the hospital?
Hospital.
The hospital, I mean. Yeah, the hospital. And I believe Miss Lockhart, that might do you well as to go to the hospital as well.
Oh, yes. Yes, I think it would.
So perhaps we should attend to that first, and then we will postpone our meeting for 90 minutes, or?
That might be a good idea. I just think getting a clean dressings on these, yeah, maybe.
I had some doubts about the ship doctor at any rate, so he was not entirely forthcoming with us.
Gentlemen, I have some work to do. I need to send off some letters to my clients. I wasn't actually planning this trip, and I would like to get some business done during it. However, you know that our priority is this
Oh yes, trying to do
blue elephant.
Trying to do your business with so little sleep.
Well,
Would hate to
that's
see
kind
you
of
make a
I'm
mistake.
making excuses to avoid meetings. Is what I'm basically doing with these letters, so that I can apologize that I've been greatly delayed.
Mr. Ramachandran, if you and I repair to the bar initially, are there going to be some more assumptions made, or do you think we can enjoy a drink and look over this book in private?
I didn't consider this kind of hotel. They might not allow him in the bar.
I assume, Mr. Ramachandran, you have a sense of what the local proprieties are.
Well, there shouldn't be much of a problem. You'll find that people are very forgiving towards the behavior of Europeans.
Right. So, Mr. Crane,
still very angry.
Yes,
I'm very angry.
As
right
you
now.
should be.
It's deplorable.
Mr. Crane, if you, since you will be a bit detained, I will take the tobacco tin, and we will begin to peruse it.
All right. Shall we meet up again in, let's say, an hour or two in the Magnolia Room?
Splendid.
Sounds comfortable.
Give us enough time to run over to the hospital.
If they'll
All
let
right.
me in.
So Lockhart and Barnes are heading to King's Hospital. Hauptmann and Ramachandran are heading to the bar. And Crane is staying in his room to write letters.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So let's start with Hauptmann and Ramachandran in the bar as Lockhart and Barnes exit and are taking transportation to King's Hospital, which isn't too far away. So you guys are in the bar, and you have this book, and I assume maybe also the pocket watch.
Mm-hmm. Yes, if we can get her out of drinks, I want to. I have a rather nice watch in my own family, and I want to compare them, see if there could be some other strange mechanism, wind it and set the correct time, inspect closely the craftsmanship on the blue elephant. We could look more closely at the tin, perhaps in addition to the Arabic, there are illustrations or some text we can read. Anything we can
Sure.
discover here.
Yeah, the watch, comparing it to yours, yeah, it's an excellent watch. Adam's watch was in excellent condition. It seems to have stayed in excellent condition despite the circumstances that it must have been going through.
It certainly was not near a fire.
It was not. It was not in the fire. Yeah, so it looks really good. You can wind it and reset it because I'm sure over time it lost its tension. The book, again, nobody has the language of Arabic, correct?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure there are illustrations. There seems to be not only just Arabic text, but there are different drawings on the inside. They're not, you don't see them you're not interpreting them as figurative drawings. Like they're not representations. They don't seem to be representing physical object items. They seem to be more like design work. So it's different circles with other different shapes, some unusual scrolling work that could be another, you might categorize it as a language, even though it's, you can clearly see portions of language that are in the Arabic, script, but then there are these others like characters that are just kind of drawn, and so they look more like drawings as opposed to words, but they could be symbols.
It could be a symbol or a diagram, but it's
something. Yeah, so it's just really, and there's all throughout it, yeah, it's just different things. Clearly it's a handmade book, so each page is handwritten. It's definitely not a printed book. It didn't come off a press.
The binding is black leather,
hand stitched.
Is it 50 pages, 100 pages, 20 pages?
Yeah, it's probably like 30 pages.
Yes. Well, Mr. Ramachandran, we will actually have to find a trustworthy Arabic speaker. Perhaps,
I would imagine probably in the Muslim quarter.
Or someone at university, perhaps.
Yes, there must be.
Yes, there is a major. Yep, there's a major university here in Calcutta, College of Fort Williams. So, College of Fort Williams is here.
Well, that would seem to be our best bet, I think.
And the College of Fort Williams is a majority European institution?
Yes.
Yes.
But it's a very progressive university, so there are many Indian students there. In fact, by this time, it's probably a majority of Indian students, since this is the at this time period, it is the sunsetting of the British Raj.
Good. We make inquiries there. And there's nothing about this tobacco tin at all. It's just a cheap place to stash something.
Yep. It had a secure lid.
And the gin and tonic?
Is tasty. And Mr. Ramachandran, he is served. He is not denied.
So it is a bit of a step up.
You know, I think in 20 years or so, we'll have home rule anyway. And then I'll look round to make sure no one's listening to me as I say.
Several pith helmets turn.
Right. So I think we'll go to Lockhart and Barnes. So you guys have arrived at the hospital, and there is, just a really just general open admissions area where basically everybody's just triaged. And so, you guys get in there, and eventually a nurse will come up to see you guys. Guys and gal.
Nurse, attendant. Both Miss Lockhart and myself received burns approximately 1 day ago. They were treated
fire on our ship while we were coming into port. We were caught below decks.
She says, "Oh my goodness! Well, let's get you back into these rooms so we can take a look." And she leads you guys into the hospital and into this kind of a general area. Lots of different beds, and it's just open. There's a couple of trifold screens, that they can move around to different beds, but for the most part, they're not really in use. So it's just, bed after bed after bed in this one area. And it looks like this is really more of like a general examination and places for, people to kind of be examined and looked after. So you guys are in here and you're being looked after. So you guys are each going to receive, I'll let you, let's do a D2. Each of you can to roll a D2 and receive that many hit points back.
Yay.
1.
So you guys are in this hospital, and so there's, it's taking a while. So to get these hit points back, you guys are going to be kind of sitting in here for a couple of hours, right? So it's going to just, the bureaucracy is slow. The care is good, but it's just slow coming, right? And it's clear that you guys are not in any kind of dire straits, right? So they kind of get you settled, and then eventually someone comes and give you a couple of little pills, and then someone later comes and they start dressing the wounds, and that's where you guys are eventually getting the hit points back, is from the proper wound dressing. So while you guys are here, down the road, because this is a fairly large room with just 2 rows on either side with a center aisle going down the middle. There's 2 rows of beds, and you guys can see down towards one end of the room, right up against the wall, next to the door at that end of the room. There's a guy, white gentleman, seems a little bit older, very thin, seems kind of frail, but he's sitting in a wheelchair, pointed up against the wall, and so he's holding something, clutched in his hand, almost like his claw-like hand, and he's drawing. He's drawing on the walls. And so you guys can see from your beds where you're looking, as he kind of start crudely sketching and drawing on the walls. He starts drawing something that for each of you, it just clicks.
I'll get up and walk over and be is that a blue elephant?
Yeah, so it's not, clearly it's not in color. It's just he's almost got like a charcoal, that he's grabbed. But he's drawing this outline, but it is of the rearing elephant. And so, yeah, in your mind, you're coloring it mentally. You're coloring it blue, and it's a dead ringer for what you've seen.
Does this gentleman here seem incredibly tired, sleep deprived?
Yeah, so he's in this wheelchair. Again, he's facing towards the wall, and you can kind of see his body rocks a little bit in this chair, and it's a really slow scratching as he's drawing this thing out on the wall.
Mister, sir, are you drawing a blue elephant? Might I ask?
So you're trying to get his attention, and so. His arm drops and his head lolls and kind of turns and looks at you, and you can see his eyes aren't pointing. They're not focused in the right direction, so each eye is looking in a different direction. He's got all this drool coming out of his mouth, and he just starts screaming at you as you get him turned around, and his focus is now turning on you. And he just starts screaming, which draws several nurses start running in y'all's direction.
I'll step in between Miss Lockhart.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cause a fuss.
So yeah, he's just his one clawed hand is kind of curled up against him now, holding that stick of charcoal, and he's just screaming and screaming and screaming at you. His body is stiffening as he seems to be going into a form of a seizure, and so the nurses all start swarming in, and they grab him and try and like bodily pick him up and get him into the bed nearby, as another nurse comes up to you guys and is kind of arms lightly on your shoulders, on each of your shoulders. She's like, please return to your beds now. Please return to your beds.
Miss Lockhart,
I didn't. Oh dear.
No, dear. It's quite all right. Quite all right. Monsieur Renault is a very sick man. But please, it's quite all right.
Pardon me for asking, but how long has Monsieur Renault been coming here for treatment? Is it been a while?
Yes, he's been here about a week or so, I would assume. Yeah, it's wow, I can't believe it's been that long, but yeah, he's been here over a week. So
sleep deprivation?
Like, yes. How would you know that?
He just seemed really groggy and delirious.
Oh, yes, I suppose that's true. Yeah, he has moments where he seems fairly lucid, but yes, it's very sad, very sad. We're hoping to hear back from his family soon, so that
where is he from?
He's from Paris, but he has a local benefactor who's helping to take care of him. But as we await for word to come from his family.
Oh dear. I'm so sorry.
Oh, please, it's quite all right. It's he's easily disturbed. He's quite mad now, I must say.
Is he close? Is he the benefactor close? I feel like I should send him a note, write him a note or something. I'm so sorry if I've hurt his friend.
Oh, well, if you want to send him a note, I have information I can give you. If you'll just wait here at your beds.
Please do.
So she bustles off. So in about, 5 minutes or so, she returns, and it's a business card. She comes back and she says, "Yes, it's Ali Khan Imports. They're have elected to help Mr. Renault, and so she gives you this business card, and printed on the card is a rearing blue elephant and the name Ali Khan Imports.
How's that spelled?
Ali, Ali, and then Khan, Khan, Imports. And right there on the business card is a rearing blue elephant.
And the business card blue elephant, it's part of the logo, or it was sketched on?
Part of a logo. Part of a business logo.
Oh, nurse, pardon me. You may not be the right person to ask for this, but Miss Lockhart and myself, we've also been suffering from not sleeping well at all. We were wondering, do you have any sort of sleep aid you might be able to get for us for a short duration?
Oh, well, let me see. Go ahead and give me a credit rating.
Credit rating, all right. Okay.
Oh, I'm...
Okay, maybe Miss Lockhart could also explain as well.
Look, yes, with the burn, just trouble sleeping and with the pain. So yes, if you do have anything for sleep and also for pain, those two things would be greatly appreciated.
So this is going to be a pushed roll. So even though it's not Barnes doing it again, as a team, you're making a second attempt. And so it's Lockhart making this attempt now. And she'll be using her skill, which I accept is quite high. And for this type of thing, there's no penalty die because it's not a physical or a mental; it's a status. But should you fail, we should set the ground rules, so just in case we should be prepared. So should you fail, I'm thinking that there's going to be just a gross misunderstanding of what you're looking for, and they probably would want to alert the authorities and have someone come in and have a conversation with you in a locked room.
All right.
No.
Oh.
No.
Oh. How's it going? Oh, that doesn't look good.
94, missed it by 4 points.
All right.
And can't spend luck on a push. So
on a push, no luck spend. Right. So you guys are like, hey, really, no, we're looking for drugs. We just need some drugs. And so she's like, uh-huh. And then she's kind of looking at Monsieur Renault, and then, and she's just like, just 1 minute. If you could just wait here, I'll be right back. And so she starts, like I said, this is a long room. And so she's walking towards that exit at the other end. And as she gets closer to it, her walking becomes bustling until she's like almost at the door. And then she's kind of running to get out of that room to go do something.
Great service. Wow, look, she's just heading off to get us.
Do you think we should go?
Well, she's obviously rushing to get our sleep aid and some painkillers for this horrible injury. Are you suspecting something more?
Well, I'm just very tired. I don't know if I phrased my request correctly.
Yeah, I certainly didn't mind. Well, they are coming back with the finishing. Are we bandaged and mostly ready to go?
Yeah. I mean, other than waiting on these this drug request, you're fine. You already received hit points, so you've been patched up.
Could I take a psychology check on her to see if I notice that she's not believing us and rushing off for other reasons, or?
Sure, go ahead. This will have a penalty die.
No, 95. So 95, and I can't get worse than 95. 95.
We got to stop hanging out together. Our rolls are
Yeah.
terrible.
I'm completely believing that she's hurrying to get us pain relief.
Totally. I mean, you can believe that, and Phoebe can believe whatever she wants to believe.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
you're not locked into anything.
Well,
But I need to know what your decision is now.
I'll wait.
All right.
Evie's gonna wait.
Okay. So in a couple of moments, the nurse is coming back, and she has an entourage with her of 4 large, burly gentlemen and they're all dressed in white. And so the gentlemen all come up, and the nurse says, "Yes, if you two could please follow these gentlemen. We just have some additional paperwork to fill out, if you don't mind."
Oh, is there a problem?
Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah, these
okay.
burn wounds are really painful, and we're really hoping to have some sort of relief for them. Certainly.
Of course. And so you guys kind of follow, get in line. There's 2 burly men leading the way. They kind of wait for you guys to kind of fill in the gap, and then 2 burly men trail behind as the nurse is behind the second pair of burly men. And she's like, "Yes, no, straight ahead, that way." And so they start marching off, and they end out heading and taking you guys into another area, another wing of the hospital. And so you get into this particular area, and there's more men in white uniforms, and there's several cells. And so as you guys kind of get into this hallway, the burly men who were behind you, they have kind of suddenly kind of come up, and they get you guys into, each of you individually, into a pretty strong armbar hold, and they roughly deposit each of you into your own private padded cell, and the doors are shut and locked.
What is the meaning of this? I demand an explanation.
I believe there's been a bit of a misunderstanding. As I said, I was tired. Don't worry. It'll be fine.
Don't worry, love. I'm sure we'll get everything taken care of, but this is just for your own protection.
My own protection.
And all of them walk away. All right. Mr. Crane, how is your letter writing going? Mr. Crane is on mute.
That's because there's nobody in the room to talk to. I've written 3 letters. The first one's to Beasley and Floyd Transport Company. They're in Mumbai, and it's concerning a shipment that we recently received in Calais. I write the second one to Mr. Saladin in Bengaluru. And the third one is to Mr. Thomas Lipton concerning an answer to his concern that I was infringing on his territory. I have no intention of doing anything in Ceylon and so forth. And I feel like I should be doodling a small elephant on
Yeah, in fact, you're writing these letters, and you're very focused on the letter writing Okay. And so as you write the letters, especially the letter that you just finished to Mr. Lipton, okay. So you finish writing it, you poured your thoughts out, and then you take a moment to review the letter. You're maybe checking your spelling, or just making sure that, oh, did I get all my thoughts properly laid out? And so it's at that moment, as you take a moment to kind of stop and review your letter, you notice that about halfway through your writing, it's almost like you just let the pen drag on the paper, and it just kind of did a squiggle line as it dragged away, and then there's a really rough, scratchy sketch that you weren't even conscious that you were doing it, of the rearing blue elephant. And so basically it's an unusable letter.
Yes. For Christ's sakes. What the hell? I'll write to Lipton later. Oh, it's taking me 2 hours sitting here. I might as well go downstairs, join the others.
Okay. So you joined Hopman and Ramachandran, and they've had a couple of drinks, and they've been really examining and reviewing this book, unable to make heads or tails of it because of its language, but they're fascinated by the craftsmanship of it. All handwritten, fully done, hand bound and stitched. The leather was hand tooled. Oh, that's a pretty kitty. And so as far as a piece of craftsmanship, it's hard not to admire the work that went into its creation, but it certainly also looks like a work of madness, due to the drawings, the illustrations of symbols, and sketchwork of strange shapes within shapes, and it's just very unsettling.
Make any heads or tails of it? One of you?
I know. It's an interesting and somewhat troubling artifact. We were thinking that if we can bring it to the university and see if we can get at least an introductory translation from an academic.
Well, the first problem I see is you're turning the pages in the wrong direction. Arabic is written in reverse direction to English.
Oh. So this is a front on this side.
Correct, yes.
It looks much the same to me.
I didn't expect you to suddenly go, oh, now I understand.
And when I flip the pages, I see the little pictures move. It's awesome now. All right.
That's actually a killing idea, the Lovecraftian flip book.
Ooh, let's write that.
Yeah, you might find somebody at the university.
Yes, as the College of Fort Williams has, I understand, the Arabic studies. So you seem to have taken longer than you expected. It's been a couple of hours, and our patients also. As I said, 90 minutes or perhaps 2 hours, but I think it's been 2 hours 20 at least.
At least.
I think they got into some trouble. You people seem to get into a lot of trouble when I'm not around.
You people? What are you saying, Mr. Crane? I'm
saying you other people of my companion group, and you're definitely included in that, Mr. Ramachandran.
He just means Phoebe. I'm not here.
Sorry, I'm just a little tense.
Just a little upset about that earlier incident. She was just a concierge
in my own country.
At any rate, you'll find the tonic is quite potent. sink the gin as well. But I wonder if perhaps the hospital did not decide that our friend's injuries were more serious and they decided to hold them.
Oh, hopefully not. They're just sitting in the waiting room.
Right, that also with flies crawling on them.
I don't know if we take a little stroll in that direction. I don't believe it's that far.
If you'd like to take a refreshment first, I wouldn't begrudge you. But yes, I think we should see at least, we want to know that they are in good hands. Good hands, get it? Hands. I know hands, it's Again, I don't drink gin at home, I drink schnapps. Beer.
Not sure of all of what they have here. I doubt they have tequila.
No tequila.
Interesting to know what was common drink in India. They might have had their own something.
There's a very dangerous drink called tequila.
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 Well, this sleep deprivation is going to drive me crazy. I ruined one of the letters that I was working on. Started drawing. I lost train of thought, and I began doodling the damn elephant. Again.
Goodness, really?
Herr Hauptmann is on mute.
Jawohl. Is it comforting to look at the rearing elephant on the watch, or is it disturbing?
It is comforting, actually. That's a great question, and it's almost one of the underlying. You actually kind of recognize that as one of the underlying emotions on when you have been compelled, consciously or even unconsciously, to try and make your own creative interpretations of that rearing blue elephant. It's always brought comfort.
Unless it ruins the letter that I was writing. But at the time, I did feel less upset about Mr. Lipton. Well, I'm done here. Let's go see if we can find our friends.
Very good. Do you know the way with Sir Ramachandran, or should we ask the desk?
King's Hospital is not hard to find.
I can find the universities, certainly, yes.
Oh, the hospital first.
Oh, well, I can just ask someone. It's very easy for me.
Very good. Hopefully they are being treated very nicely.
I'll just literally just get out of the hotel and just randomly accost someone and say, "Where's the hotel? Where's the hospital?" I think I was down there. Cheers. In Hindi, though, you know.
Exactly. So you guys get directions, and it doesn't take long to get there. And so, you're basically in this general open reception area. Eventually, a nurse approaches and says, all right, what's wrong?
Well, nothing's wrong with us. A couple of our friends came in earlier for get treated on some rather nasty burns that they received. We recently traveled here from Europe, and they were injured on board our ship. Young woman, gentleman, a military man.
And so she's like, all right, let me check the records. And after a few moments, she comes back and says, yes. Oh, yes. So she's looking at some paperwork. She said, oh, yes. Okay. Miss Lockhart and a Mr. Barnes.
Yes, that's Major Barnes.
Oh, my apologies. Major Barnes. Yes. Well, I do see. Yes. Oh, and it seems that they may have there's been a little bit of madness going on, and it looks like they may have contracted a touch of that madness. And so we have them in observation cells right now, but it's purely for their own protection.
Yes, this is absurd.
Do you have a madness that's contagious?
It's very strange, but yes, there have been a few cases of people who have been driven to the very brink of their own sanity because they just have not been able to sleep, and so there have been a few suicides, and so we are madness, and so we're trying to ensure their own safety at this time.
Oh, now see here, we were with them less than 2 hours ago. They were fine. They came here because of burns that they'd suffered aboard our ship. Who's in charge?
Well, let me get the physician. Please wait here.
Very well.
And so eventually
This is outrageous.
yes, and so eventually Dr. Carter shows up and says, yes, how may I help you? You're here trying to check on your friends. Well, yes, we suspect that some of their behavior seemed a little odd, and so we
But
felt
they
that,
were clucking like chickens?
What behavior?
well, they seem to be quite infatuated with narcotics, and it just their behavior seemed to tip off one of our nurses who's been keeping an eye on some of this some of the madness that's been cropping up.
Narcotics?
Yeah.
Surely you mean painkillers? Surely the young woman in question has been extremely badly burned while she was on her.
Did you
journey.
see the major's hand? It's like Italian pizza.
Yes. We have seen all of their physical injuries, but I feel that it's possible that the pain that they have endured is possibly beginning to erode at their ability for rational thought.
That's preposterous. Do you know who she is? Do you know who
Do you know
he
who
is?
I am?
Yes. Well,
Are you-
you shouldn't. You're imprisoning people.
Oh,
You have no
that's
right.
outrageous.
I demand that you release them right now into our care. What nonsense.
What nonsense indeed. All right, let's give me a social, whatever
Intimidate?
social. Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. 13 and...
Intimidate roll while banging your hand on the table and saying, "Now see here."
13 and a 26. And I've got 55, so I got even with the penalty.
Yes, you drive a very compelling argument, and of course they've been able to have them in observation for a little while now, and so he seems to be bustling through the paperwork, and he says, "Yes, fine. Well, he reviews his notes and stuff, and he goes, they seem to be not displaying a harm to themselves or others at this time. But if you want to take responsibility for them, then I suppose that should be fine."
Some responsible party ought to be.
And so the Dr. Carter says, "Go ahead and release the patients into their care without the laudanum."
Without any painkillers with these burns. God.
It's like we find a pharmacy that's a little less extreme.
So yeah, you guys are finally cut loose.
I hope their physical care is more competent than their mental care.
I hope that hospital burns to the ground.
Well, I have to say, Major Barnes, how was your little padded box? Was it enjoyable?
Oh, it was quite cheery. All 6
Oh, yes.
6 feet of it.
Everything's been cured in me from their little box.
Now, you both promised you're not entirely insane, right? You're not taking you back to the Royal Pantaloon unless you promise you're not crazy balls.
I swear, I am not totally insane.
You know, I'm not usually the one to say this, but how do you all feel like a little bit of an adventure to Blacktown? Let's get some laudanum. Let's get some painkillers for you folks.
I think
We say out of earshot of the doctor.
Oh,
Yeah, we're outside. We've left.
Yeah, you guys,
We left.
you've
him
exited the
outside.
hospital.
Whistling Street.
Do you know of any attorneys, Mr. Crane, in the area?
I don't
I would
think
like
that
to
you'd
file
be.
a lawsuit.
Oh,
I don't think that
that's-
you'd be able to. He's a doctor. He can make mistakes.
I was the assistant attorney to the chief magistrate down south, so I know a few.
Well, once this all business is settled, Major, maybe we'll come back here and try to
I think
get a
so,
little
just
bit of
get
money
him
out of these
fired.
folks.
Agreed.
No, let's if we all travel together, I think we'll be fairly safe.
Excellent.
Did they at least did they comfort your injuries at all?
A bit. I
Yes,
feel
yes, it feels better. It still hurts a lot.
Yes, every little thing. Let's see what we can do.
And maybe in our quest for law, then we could find me some new dice. These ones are.
maybe a sleeping aid might help too. That's what I was just asking for at the hotel. All I mentioned was I was having a hard time sleeping and was looking for maybe a couple sleeping pills.
Well, let's go find some.
All right, so you guys want to venture into the Black Town, the seedy side.
Let's
And,
cross the tracks.
We'll look for a low life that looks like he might be able to get us what we're looking for.
Let
I
the
don't
record
really
state
know
that
how
Crane
this
is
works.
profiling people.
Well, I like to say, let's stick together. I have a gun.
I think if we cross the train tracks, see less signs in English, and maybe a sign with a big red cross on it and lots of writing in the windows, they'll sell us anything.
Yeah, so it'll
Right.
probably be a crescent.
I can read Hindi,
Crescent.
so I can read a little Hindi.
Just lots of writings, handwriting stuck to the window. That
Mhm.
always says to me, I'll sell you anything.
Oh, there's a place over there.
Yeah,
Let's see what we
I'll
can-
have 40 Hindi, so I should be able to read signs as well.
I think that's
And of course, Mr.
apothecary?
Ramachandran.
I
Yes.
believe that's an apothecary there.
Yeah, so if that's what you're looking for, who has the lowest luck roll? Who has the lowest luck?
I have
fine.
50.
55.
I have 55.
59 now.
I'm 69. I'm
Is it me?
luckiest.
I've got 50.
All right,
I've got the
Crane.
lowest.
Crane will make the group luck roll.
And is this with a penalty or is it
No.
just-
Luck is not as a physical or mental skill.
Okay. I got a 9.
All right. Yeah. So you go into this area where there are no signs in English. And Ramachandran quickly points out, he says, there's a pharmacy, there's an apothecary right over there. And you are able to get in there with, language is not really going to be a barrier since you have a native speaker with you, as well as those who have conversational percent 40 or greater in the language. So it is a matter of, do they have it in stock? So again, let's have a final luck roll from our group luck individual, Mr. Crane.
29 out of 50.
And it is in stock. So it ends up running about twice what you would have normally paid, but you're able to get a week's worth of laudanum for both Phoebe and for Mr. Barnes, Major Barnes.
There we go.
Well, the little bit extra is worth it for not having to be lodged in a tiny box.
And let's go ahead and give both Lockhart and Barnes one more point of hit points returned.
Oh, wonderful. Even if that returns me all the way?
Even if it returns you all the way.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Yes.
This will simulate the future healings and stuff that you take by having regular access to the medication.
Got it. All right, perfect. Oh, thank you.
Full health again.
Well, let's go back to the hotel. This part of town's not as bad as perhaps I thought it was, but I'd still rather not hang out here. Feel a little
Yes,
uncomfortable.
it's not nightfall yet.
And so, did you make any friends in the loony bin? Miss Lockhart,
Well,
Major Bounds.
actually, I came across a Mr. Rowe. He was lovely, scrawling an elephant onto the wall, screamed his head off at me, and we got this business card.
Good gracious.
Logo look familiar to anybody?
What's this? Ali Khan. Perhaps Ali Khan can read the book for us.
Well, I don't know. This guy was put into that hospital. We were treated so well by the person.
And he hands out business cards in the loony bin.
Well, he was a benefactor, they said. He was the one paying for the man's stay while they're trying to reach his family.
You say he was also drawing.
He was. That definitely struck me as an elephant. And when I said blue elephant to him, that's when he
gave you the card.
I got the card from the nurse that decided that I was the padded cell type of gal.
Well, the nurse and the doctor both spoke of the madness that was going around. He talked about sleep deprivation.
Oh well, they didn't say anything about madness to us. They just.
Well, I imagine if they don't understand it, that's the way they would categorize it. But apparently, we're not the only people being affected by this blue elephant.
Yeah, that gentleman in the hallway we met certainly seemed to be.
And did we concur that the feeling we get from the blue elephant is not actually a bad one, rather a comforting feeling, despite the fact that it seems to be the center of our obsession?
Does looking at the Ali Khan Imports card, are there hours on it for their location, their business location?
No, it has an address on Chowringhe Street, CHOWRINGHEE. That's all one word, Chowringhe Street, which especially Mr. Crane, but also Mr. Ramachandran would recognize as a merchant business district street. So lots of places of business, very respectable places of business on Chowringhe Street, which is obviously located in Whitetown.
And it's still fairly early in the day.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't done anything like meals or whatever, but there've been several hours, so you're past lunch and you're closing in on dinner,
Okay.
and the sun will probably set in about 2 hours. But yeah, it's still regular business hours at this time.
Let's see if we can. Yeah, let's see if we can get over there before they close. See if we can have a talk with Mr. Ali Khan.
Okay.
Mr. Ramachandran and I had a very tasty gin lunch, so we're ready to go.
Yes, I'm a little more relaxed now.
Actually, if we could get some food along the way, they didn't have much in the way of snacks for our tour of the white cells.
There's quite a lot of street vendors here selling foods out of little carts. I'm sure that's safe.
Yes, there's all kinds of things with legs are on a stick that you can have.
Here's some frog satay and some chicken satay and some God knows what satay, but it's delicious.
Absolutely.
I'm sure all the spices kill any germs that might be there.
Tasty. Very good food.
Well, Mr. Crane, if I eat something and I end up back at the hospital, I'll make sure to put it on your bill.
So you guys are able to easily get a street snack, and any public transportation is able to get you onto Charingi Street, and in very short order, you are able to locate Ali Khan Imports. So you can see the front of the building says Ali Khan Imports. There's large glass windows, and the sign has the rearing blue elephant on it. And so as you guys enter, the air is a little musty as you enter Ali Khan Imports. The shelves teeter with precariously stacked textiles and pottery, making obvious what Ali Khan Imports specializes in. But there are a few antiques and a few other curio items scattered throughout the store. A handsome man in his mid-20s with a broad smile approaches you and says, "Good day, how may I help you?"
Oh, yes, we'd like to speak with the proprietor, Mr. Ali Khan.
I'm sorry. He's unavailable at this time. But is there anything that I can help you with?
Oh yes, I just I came across this business card of yours, and I love this elephant. Do you have anything with this print?
Well, nothing specific with that print. But I'm pleased that you like our logo. But please feel free, look around, see if there's anything that interests you. We're more than happy to assist in any way that I can.
When might we be able to speak with him?
I'm afraid that he won't be able to see anyone.
Is he ill?
No, it's just he does not partake in the regular day-to-day activities. But I'm in charge if there's anything I can help you with.
Are you a relation?
Yes, sir. My name is Sanjay Ali Khan.
Son? Grandson?
I am. He is my uncle. I am the nephew.
I see. Oh, not to put too fine a point on it, but we have all traveled here to India from Europe because we seem to be dreaming of a charging blue elephant. And we saw your card today and realized it's the same one that we've been dreaming of. However preposterous that sounds, we would like to get to the bottom of it. We can't sleep.
So as you say that, dreaming, can't sleep, you do see a obvious change on Sanjay's face. And so as you do that, he stands there and he goes, "Yes, I see. My apologies. One moment, please." And so he goes to the door and he locks the door and flips the sign to closed. And then he says, "Yes, please, right this way, right this way." And he begins to head off down a hallway that's leading towards the rear of the building.
Sometimes the direct approach seems to work in these cases.
Do we notice anyone else kind of lurking in the flanks of the store? Is this just him in the store?
It's a pretty empty store. It's not, it's not Target, so it's not, it's not teeming with people. It's fairly low key. Plus, it is kind of late. I mean, it's getting kind of close to closing time. It's not exactly there, but you guys certainly didn't arrive right in the middle of the day when it probably would have been the hopping, busiest.
I don't imagine they keep super formal hours either.
Right.
As someone who works in textiles, do the wares look of quality?
Pretty good quality.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I think, Mr. Crane, you should take the lead under the circumstances. I think we should keep Miss Phoebe close at hand in case this man is less friendly than he seems. But he seems friendly, yeah?
Yeah. Seems like we're going to finally get to the bottom of all of this.
One would hope.
And I probably should have said that the Alicon Imports building, when you guys were outside, it's a multi-story building. So he leads you down this long hallway, and then there's a pair of double doors that are on those hinges where the doors swing both ways, quite easily, right? And so he just pushes through, and you guys, get following behind. He enters into an area, and it looks like a warehouse. It's a warehouse area, and you can see that this warehouse has a large garage door that's open, and so there's a lorry pulled in, it's backed in into this warehouse, and you can see there's a bunch of men in there, and they're in the process of putting crates of material and stuff into this lorry, and so he, and all that is kind of happening off to your right, and there's some open scaffolding that's got stuff, right, crates, and you see some big spools with like copper wiring and stuff on them. But that's kind of happening off to your right, in the warehouse proper. But you guys, he leads you across this, where you entered in. It's sort of like at the back edge of the warehouse, and so he leads across, and there's a set of stairs, and so he kind of goes up these stairs, and then there's like this office, a glass enclosed office that kind of, it's got a bird's eye view to kind of look down and observe things that are happening in the warehouse. So he traipses up these stairs and gets up into that office.
And none of these workers are paying us any attention at all, although we're kind of an odd parade.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, it's an odd parade, but they got shit to do, so they're working.
I also wanted to ask, they're importers. So is most of the stuff we're seeing not Indian, but from some other place?
Yes, correct. So they're importing things from other countries, right? But you have to assume that they're also exporting too.
Sure.
So you get into this office, like I said, it's glass enclosed to overlook, and it's bird's eye to overlook the warehouse, and it's a galley design, right? So you came in one door, and you see there's another door at the opposite end of the galley, and so there's a couple of desks, and on one wall, clearly the one that's not glass, you see a large world map tacked up on that wall, and there's a bunch of push pins in that map, and there's a couple of guys in the office, but Sanjay, he comes in and he says hi to these guys, and they just kind of nod and basically say, hey, hi, Sanjay. And so he pushes past them, and he goes just a beeline for that other door, and he said, please come. So he opens that door, and there's another set of stairs that go up, right? And so he goes up those stairs, and as he gets to the top of these stairs, this my assumption is that y'all are still following. So as it gets to these stairs, it opens up. It just kind of comes up into a room that is basically set up as a living room, right? There's a couple of couches. There's a console radio. There you can see another room just immediately over there that's clearly a kitchen, and it smells like a kitchen. There's a lot of great odors, great smells coming out of that room, and you can see there's a couple of women working in that room, and so there's a kid. He looks to be like 15, sitting in here in this living room portion, and so Sanjay comes up and he speaks to the kid fairly quickly, and so Ramachandran, clearly has the ear for it, and so basically Sanjay says to this kid that here are some new people to see Uncle, and that he leaves them in he goes, I leave them in your capable hands, and so the kid he just kind of nods. He goes, okay, and so he goes, he stands up and he says, follow me. And so he goes down this other hallway that's leading away from the kitchen. And so down this hallway, there's a couple of other doors on either side, but then there's another door at the very end of the hallway. And so he gets to the end of the hallway, and as you guys kind of catch up and catch up to him, the door's closed. And so he goes, we go in here. And so he kind of knocks twice on the door, and then he opens it up. And as he steps in, he says, please come in. And you come into this room, and there's a nice aroma, like a spice aroma from different incense. There's different burning incense. And so this room there's like several pillows on the floor and stuff, and you see this old gentleman sitting on the floor nearby, and so Sanjay comes in, and he pulls you in, and he sits down, he kneels on the pillows, and he gestures to the old man, and he says, this is Uncle. You have come to see Uncle.
Mr. Ali Khan.
And so he opens his eyes and he nods. So rays of sunlight slice through the shuttered windows in what is otherwise a darkened room. It's obvious that this large space has been partitioned off by a series of screens into an office area, a small library, and beyond that, it's a sleeping area. And were it not for the presence of a desk and solid chair, it would be difficult to tell that this area is some kind of office, given the number of thick cushions that are on the floor. Sitting on one of the cushions is a frail old man who seems to be meditating. And with a light touch on his shoulder, the boy gets his attention. He smiles and gestures for you all to have a seat. So the boy introduces himself. He says, my name is Guru, and this is Uncle.
How do you do,
Mr. Khan?
And so Uncle does not speak English, so he speaks in Hindi, and he's got a very soft voice, and Guru does does all the translation into English, but he says he knows that Uncle has been expecting you. He knows that you have been traveling far, and that the dreaming pilgrim has called for you.
Can he explain more to us? We don't understand at all.
So he says, please settle in, and I will tell you the tale.
All right.
He says, each of you have been chosen to be an agent of light, a force for good, an avatar for the dreaming pilgrim. The dreaming pilgrim is a being of great power over time itself. He has seen a future of Armageddon and has conscripted you as agents of change to steer our future to one that does not end in ash and fire. At some point in each of your lives, the dreaming pilgrim has acted through you to make a change in the flow of destiny. and once completed, your memory of that act was erased. The dreaming pilgrim's manipulation has been noticed by the adversaries, and they have dispatched their minions to oppose him. We are at war. Your dreams are his call to arms, his rally cry for soldiers. You have been conscripted into his army. The dreaming pilgrim has a library in the far desert north of Jodhpur. It is our mission to defend the library. If it should fall, then his ability to prevent Armageddon would be greatly diminished.
Jodhpur, that godforsaken area.
Guru, can Uncle tell us who the adversary is?
The adversary are those who wish to bring Armageddon.
Yeah. And
Well,
how
well,
did
why-
it... Please, Phoebe.
Oh, just what? Why would they want to do that?
Why do evil in the first place? It is a question that cannot be answered.
Is there some way to allow us to get a decent night's sleep? Or is this going to continue?
And so Uncle nods and he says, yes, through Gordru, he says, yes, I am so sorry. The dreaming pilgrim's call is difficult for human minds to interpret, and it does unfortunately bring pain and sorrow and difficulty with your sleep. But Uncle through Goro, Uncle says, I can teach you meditation methods that will help ease and prevent the mental harm that you are having.
Reassuring to know.
So please, for those who are interested, sit and I will teach you how to meditate to alleviate that pain.
This would be of paramount importance, for we won't be able to defend much at all if we get much groggier. I can barely think straight right now.
I wonder if we do think straight. Guru, does Uncle know why the dreaming pilgrim would choose us?
Because you have been chosen before. You have already been unknowing agents of change, and he is now making a mass open call for all of his agents to come and help defend the library. Unfortunately, some of those agents, the pilgrim's call can be maddening, and for some, they have fallen to that madness. But for a very select few, the strong-willed, they have been able to withstand the call and have made it this far. And so we welcome you.
Now, we were all unaware of being agents of this dreaming pilgrim. Is it possible that the adversaries are unaware of the role that they play in all of this?
We think that the adversaries are quite aware of what they are doing. What they don't know is who are they fighting against. So the adversaries have been casting a wide net to try and find those who are displaying certain properties that have become indicative of agents for the dreaming pilgrim.
One of us, one of the people we were traveling with on the boat, met his end while we were traveling here.
That is very sad.
And furthermore, a soldier fired his weapon at one of us.
Yes,
and
the adversary...
To know nothing of it afterwards.
Yes, the adversaries They are very powerful. They have ways to twist a man's mind to make them do things that they would not normally do.
Can they do this to us, or are we able to protect ourselves from this in some way?
It is hard to say, but yes, the adversaries are very, very powerful.
Look, I have a great many things to do. What you're talking about is joining some sort of a religious cult and going to another part of India to defend a library. I didn't ask for this. I have a life.
Yes. We all do. We understand it. But yes, we leave in the morning. We leave tomorrow for the library.
No, if you want us to go somewhere tomorrow, and at that moment, what went through my mind is all of us in the back of a truck driving through the desert, which I saw in my vision. So I kind of hesitate for a moment, and I say, I'd really like to learn this technique for getting a good night's sleep because I am exhausted.
Well, and so Uncle says, what little English he knows, he does know the word good. And so he goes, good. And so he spreads his hands out so you can all have a comfy seat on one of the pillows. And he begins to try and teach everyone present a deep meditation method. So, everyone, I need to see how I'm going to convert this with the. Oh, okay. I'm kind of converting on the fly. I need everyone to make a education roll. You are looking for an extreme success.
Is this with the penalty die?
No, this is no penalty die. This is just an education roll. You can spend luck if you so desire, but you're looking for an extreme success.
Ooh, I got a hard success, but
Yep, just a regular for me.
Hard success again.
I'll spend the luck. That's 50.
So too great a leap in order to spend the points to make it extreme.
Let's have a look.
Well, for me, yeah.
Well, I
This is a
rolled a
huge-
30 and I needed, I'd have to spend 18 points to get.
You don't have to. So
I mean, if we made this, does that then give us the ability to sleep?
possibly.
I'm spending it.
I would have to spend 45 points.
Oh,
I'd have to spend 70 points.
oh,
I'm going to spend 18 points because
Okay.
I very rarely, if ever, spend luck points. So
All right,
I
good.
don't have 70 points.
let's have some fun and spend.
Herr Hauptmann, how did yours go?
I had a regular success at the very margin. I have to spend 32, which seems profligate.
Okay. Those who want to, so first off, everyone is going to gain this new skill. Okay. So add a skill to your character sheet. Pardon me. The name is Deep Meditation. If you did not get an extreme success, even with so if you are not choosing to spend the luck points, or if you did not roll into the extreme success, your deep meditation will start at 1%. Okay. If you did get an extreme success, either by rolling or by spending luck points, you may take a D10, roll it, and add that to the 1, and that will be your starting percentage of deep meditation.
Woohoo. 8.
1. 15 luck got me 1 point more. All right, cool.
Hey, you've got double the skill that Mr. Crane has.
Yep.
So now what we will be doing is, before you go to bed, everyone will attempt a deep meditation skill roll. If you are successful in your deep meditation skill roll, you will not have to you will get a good night's sleep, and you will not have sleep deprivation the next day. But you will still have, you'll still hear that noise, that background noise of this dreaming pilgrim's call, right? So it's still there, but you're fighting it with the deep meditation and getting a good night's rest. So it will still be a daily or evening roll. So if you end up failing it, then you'll have to do this the sanity check in the morning, that kind of thing. But at least there's a fighting chance to get a good night's sleep. And so it takes hours of sitting there and learning the deep meditation from Uncle. Okay. And so during that time period, during those hours, Guru is running back and forth, and he brings chai, tea, although it's weird to say chai tea because you're saying tea. But he brings cups of chai, he brings water, he brings plates of hot, delicious food, and so he's bringing all these amenities for you guys to relax. So everyone ends up getting a really great meal, and as the hours wear on, eventually Uncle calls for Guru, and Guru says, Uncle is very, very tired. He's going to be going to bed now. We have rooms ready and prepared for you, for we are going to be leaving early in the morning. Please come and try and get some rest.
And all of our stuff is at the back of the hotel.
They're not an expensive hotel. Do we know if we will return?
We have men that we can send for your gear.
Oh, well, that would be...
I suppose... do you know where the Dreaming Pilgrim is a pilgrim from?
And his eyes get big. He's like, I don't know.
Miss Lockhart, gentlemen?
Don't seem to be having very much success with this meditation, but
well, I mean, I have to learn this meditation technique. I mean, regardless of if it helps you sleep, then I don't, whatever else is going on, I don't.
Afraid they've kind of got us over a barrel at this point because of it.
It doesn't seem like those little rooms you were in at the hospital were very appealing either. So,
how long are we going to be gone, Guru?
I don't know. We've been gathering supplies for quite some time, and many of the other soldiers who have come before you, they've already traveled out to the library. We go to meet them, but I know the time is nigh, and so Uncle, who's been waiting as long as possible, he is, and we are all going to the library tomorrow.
I'm too tired to argue. I'll just, I'll go along. I'll wear what I'm wearing.
Let us send a note to the hotel with your man so that we can bring our things.
Yes, I just have my service revolver, but I would like the rest of my equipment.
Very good. Sanjay will have his men, and they will go and collect your things. It will be here in the morning for you.
Ali,
Oh,
question. You mentioned that our adversaries would have a way to identify us. Besides people being tired, would you know of other ways they could identify people who have chosen to defend us?
We suspect that they may have discovered that that everyone was the pilgrim was trying to bring you all to Uncle through the imagery of the elephant, and we suspect that they have the adversaries have pieced that together. So we are no longer safe here. We will be leaving in the morning.
Okay, so there's eyes on this building, then I'm guessing.
We think. We don't know.
And does anyone in the family read the Arabic writing?
Uncle reads it.
He is coming tomorrow on the travel to the journey?
Uncle travels with us, yes.
That's good. Very well. Friends, let us try and sleep. At least we have full bellies.
I will let everyone attempt, as we close down, make a deep meditation skill roll and see, are you able to get a good night's sleep?
No.
81.
Do we have to roll a penalty dice for this one?
No, I'm not. I'm going to not do the penalty die for deep meditation.
Okay.
And is it something one could spend luck on?
Absolutely.
If I got a 4,
Oh!
I think that's my third 7 tonight. I'm going to spend 6 luck points and sleep.
Nice.
I've rolled 12, and my deep meditation is 9. So I'm gonna spend 3 points.
Sweet dreams, Mr. Ramachandran.
And
so
my luck is plummeting by the second.
Oh, I love to hear that. Major Barnes, how's it going? And what did you do?
29 rolled, and I need 2. So 27. I burnt 15 already. That's too.
You're gonna pass, right?
I'm passing. I just
All
have
right.
luck now.
So for this evening, at least, Ramachandran and Herr Hauptmann, they will sleep, and they will not have sleep deprivation in the morning. But Miss Lockhart, Major Barnes, and Mr. Crane, we will have to inflict that mechanic on you next time.
Exactly. I rolled a 54, and I have 1 point. But I only have 50 luck points.
Oh.
So I can't. All right. Are we going to call it there?
Yes, yeah. I was looking at the time, and I thought that might be an appropriate ending point for tonight.
Cool. Our players included Mick Swans, Stuart Lively, David Gasway, Morgan Llewellyn, and myself, with John Hook as the keeper of the secrets. We're currently producing up to 4 shows a week with music and sound effects added in post-production in order to create a richer listener experience. We provide audio-only versions of our shows, free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. The costs involved with the show are provided almost entirely by our patrons. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. If you'd like to support our show, please visit our Patreon account. Just $1 or $2 a month helps us a lot. You can find a link in the description below. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch that bell icon for updates on our latest shows, and leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answering the questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure in the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good game.